As you know, the readings, as we're going through the season now, are all actually moving towards the Ascension. And in moving towards the Ascension, if you could look at the early history of the church, the first major crisis in the church was the crucifixion of Jesus. And people just did not know what this meant, if he was actually the Messiah, and how this came about. But the second major crisis was in fact the Ascension. And what Jesus will try to convince the apostles about in this period between the resurrection and the Ascension is that when they have watched him act, they are actually watching his humanity. You and I know that Jesus is both God and a human being. But as a matter of fact, when Jesus walked the face of the earth, he always acted in his humanity. And when we look at different things in his life, they seem to be so spectacular. We think that's his divinity, but it is not. He is always acting towards his humanity. That's also why, at one point in this very passage, he will tell the apostles, you're going to do even greater things than I. You have to understand, if Jesus is acting through his divinity, no one's going to do anything like him. But if he's acting through his humanity, you and I share his humanity. But let's face it, that isn't an ordinary humanity. And in today's reading, he tells why. His humanity was totally subject to the command and the power of the Holy Spirit. You don't need to be God. All you need to be is a human being, subject to the command and the power of the Holy Spirit. And the apostles will discover that. It'll be a catastrophe when Jesus ascends into heaven. The next major catastrophe is when the last apostle dies, John. But their history is a history of what they see as catastrophes, while the church spreads all over the world like you cannot imagine. I don't know many of you remember this, but I was, as a young man, very, very impressed by Pius XII. He was an ascetic. He was brilliant. You know, he was an aristocrat. You can go through all kinds of things about him. When he died, I was really disappointed and very fearful for the church. This was not helped when John the 23rd, an overweight, smoking peasant, was in fact made pope. But what happened to the church under John the 23rd, and I could go through a list of popes after that, the fact of the matter is, the power in our church is the Holy Spirit. It is no individual, and it has never been an individual, even in the days of Jesus. Jesus was one sent by the Father. He was certainly God, but he acted in his humanity under the power of the Spirit. And we're called always to trust that that's what goes on in the church. Spirit operates through different people at different times, in different places, and in different ways, always for the benefit of the church. And you can see it in history. Because this is the last Sunday I'll actually be here as pastor, I would like to add one note, and I'm very serious about this. One of the sad things that I notice when priests leave a parish is that one of the ways of telling the guy how much you enjoyed him and how wonderful he was is to try and point out things that are bad with the parish now. I want you to understand that is very painful to a priest. Any priest who has invested time in a parish does not want to hear anything bad about the parish at all. It's kind of like a parent. Is any parent ever insulted at the glory of their children? Is any parent ever hurt because a child is more brilliant, has more degrees or whatever? No, a parent loves it. So I will ask you as a personal favor to me, from now on, only to tell me good things about this parish.